Alright, so now that we've entered some staff into our payroll sheet, we're going to go back to the scheduler and we're going to take a look at how this works. So we have in here kind of a menu of things that hopefully over time you'll start to keep in your head. But these are all the options that you have for entries in the hour fields. Okay, so if Mark's on vacation on Sunday, I put in vacay instead of off. You could just as easily put in off. The net effect is the same, that no hours are recorded. However, for the sake of awareness of staff and managers with regard to where people are and when we should be expecting them back, maybe for the sake of informing a customer or something like that, we can put in vacay, say if Mark is off doing an Ironman somewhere or something like that. Natick is designated for, it's actually originally designed for when somebody is in Natick for a meeting or something like that, but could work just as easily if somebody's working in another store. Unfortunately, Google Docs doesn't allow me to put in any more options than the ones that we have here. It can't store that much information into a formula, so Natick kind of stands for being in another store, but working. And it also assumes that you start at 9 a.m. and you end at, actually, sorry, 9:30 a.m. and you end at 5. So it will record 7.5 hours. Again, not perfect, but it will at least record some hours for people that are working and give you a better idea of how long they're going to be working. If you wanted to edit their hours a little bit, if you knew they were going to be there from 9:30 in the morning until 8, you could change this from Natick in the in section. You could leave that, and then for the out, for punching out, you could say 8:00 p.m. And now it'll record a full day's work of 10.5 hours for that person. So that's a way of extending hours there. In Boston, they started using this actually for if Mark or Sean or someone started the day in Natick, but halfway through the day they came back, designating the specific time that they were going to punch out instead of closing the day in Natick indicated that they would actually come back at some point in the day and finish the day out at the store in Boston. Again, these kinds of things should ultimately be communicated among your staff anyway, but it's a way of creating as much visibility as possible in the schedule. So Natick is a designation for that will count some hours. BizTrip works the same way, also records 9:30 to 5, but it's a little more broad sweeping. So if somebody is away for 3 days for a convention or something, they can enter BizTrip for in and out for those 3 days. Obviously, they'll be working more of that time, but it at least records that they're working hours during those days. Regular hours should be entered pretty specifically. So we need to put the colon in, and we need to designate AM or PM. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people have with recording hours. So if you look up here under Travis, say I enter 9:30 a.m. here, okay, you don't have to put the space between them, that will populate automatically, but if I put in 9:30 a.m. there, and then let's say Travis works the full day, and I put 8 here, and I hit enter without designating PM, it automatically defaults to AM, and when I try and see what Travis's hours are for the week, it comes out with a weird designation saying num. And that is because it calculates a negative number of hours for the week. So we need to go back. Whenever you see this over here, chances are you've just missed an AM or a PM in somebody's hours for the week. So you need to go back here, change that to 8:00 PM, and it will correct the hours worked. Other designations are closed, which you can put in for days, obviously, that the store is closed. Unavailable if someone is not necessarily on vacation, but maybe they have a doctor's appointment or something like that. If people give you advance notice that they're not going to be available on a certain day because maybe they have class or they have to go to the doctor's, you can enter this in advance. And then fitting is the last one. Fitting will record no hours, but it will indicate that that person is in the store. So, for example, if I had, as I had recorded, Thea and Dan were in fitting, if I entered in fitting for Thea here, then it would show, ideally you would then look at that and say, okay, she's fitting, so I'm going to look down at her schedule for fitting and see what hours she's fitting. And then Thea's hours get recorded there for the week. And those are the basic designations that you have options to enter into the schedule on all counts. And that's the basics of that. Over here you have the hours totaled that are worked. Hours on weekdays, hours on weekends. I had that requested for fairness to make sure that people were working full-time, working at least comparable weekday and weekend hours. If there was a preference there, and then a total number of hours as well. This column all the way to the right is based off of something that we'll talk about when we go back to the payroll, but it gives your staff a goal for dollars sold within the week. So they can look at this number at the beginning of the week and say, all right, that's my target for sales this week. Up top we have the dates. Whenever you add a new tab, all you need to do is go down to the bottom here, click on the down arrow, and click duplicate. It will come up as copy 1229, which you then will want to change to a new date. So you click on the down arrow on that one, rename, delete the whole thing, and let's enter a new date. Let's enter 1/19 because that would be the next one in the list. Okay. And now when I look at 1/19, it doesn't change the date up here unless I change the date on here. So, and now we're actually in 2015. And you can see it auto-populates the dates after the first date is entered. But you do need to remember to enter that first date. Below this, as I go down past sales and past fitting, there is a place that counts hours total for people working within the day. I believe it does not count, does not include staff scheduled for fitting. So this is strictly the number of people you have on the sales floor at any given time. And we've broken it up into kind of chunks of the day based on when traffic may be heavier or lighter. So you may have very few people for open, you may want more people for midday, and the most for close after work or something like that. You can enter people into the schedule and then come back down here and double check to make sure that you have as many people as you think you should for those specific hours of the day. Down here I have close Monday through Wednesday, 5 to 6:30, and then close Monday to Friday, 5 to 8:30. This is for winter hours when we're not open till 8:30 or till 8 for the entire week. And if you're in the winter and you don't want to look at those numbers, you don't want to confuse them, you can right-click on row 36 all the way over to the left of all the cells and click hide row, and then it will only show the hours that you're concerned with. So in the summer, if you're trying to hide that Monday through Wednesday section. That's how you would do it. And then when you want them to show up again in the winter, you just go over here and this little open arrow will show up, and you click on that and it will open it back up. But so let's say we're in the summer right now, even though we're not, and we'll hide that. So now you have your open, you have your midday, and you have your closing hours. You get the same setup for service hours below here. You can see it was actually already hidden. And the same setup for service staff here. And that's it.